Figs are an ingredient that I love to use when they're in season. You get two peak times, one at the start of summer and one big one at the start of autumn. And right now they are at their peak. So I'm using them in all types of dishes. So this dish here is about celebrating the humble fig and pairing it with a few lovely ingredients and making a lovely dessert which takes no fuss. I find this recipe works best in a tagine. However, if you didn't have a tagine, get it in a pot on the oven, works just as good. So over a low heat, I'm going to build up the lovely sauce that goes with these figs. I have a quarter of a cup of rum. With the rum that I'm using, it's just a basic spice rum. Nothing fancy, just pulled it out of the cupboard. I have a couple of tablespoons of brown sugar in and vanilla. Now there's no doubting figs and vanilla are a match made in heaven. It just goes hand in hand. It just takes figs to the next level. And lastly, just to layer up on those Middle Eastern or North African spices, some cardamom. Now green cardamom works so well in sweet cooking. If you haven't used it before or tried it before, give it a go. Just give it a bruise just to separate the pods and enable the little black seeds to come out. And just pop that in. Oh, you can smell it all. You can smell that vanilla very quickly. That vanilla has just gone through the rum. The cardamon's already started releasing. The sugar's almost dissolved, so now I can just pop these figs in. Now with figs, you ideally want to get them for this recipe when they're a little bit firmer, because you're going to cook them for about 15 to 20 minutes until they're soft, so they can be firm for this recipe. If I was just going to eat them, I always opt for a softer fig. And if Emma was here, this is the point where she would tell the lovely fact that figs are actually inside out flowers. There we go. So just nestle those figs in, pop the lid of the tagine on, and they're just going to steam away, create its own sauce inside there for the next 15 to 20 minutes until they're soft and ready to go. Our figs are ready. They've taken about 20 minutes and that sauce looks incredible. It's reduced down, thickened up, and you can see just that hint of red, and that's because the juices from the figs have leaked out into it. And if we give them a squeeze, they're soft to the touch, but they're still holding together. So that's when I know they're perfectly done. It's time for the mascarpone cheese. Now mascarpone cheese and figs just go so well together. If you can't get mascarpone cheese, creme fraiche or clotted cream work just as well in this recipe. Nice heat pile in the center of your plate. Make a well with your spoon, just using the back of your spoon. Press down in it. Look at that. Just get the figs out onto the plate. Just transfer them across and look at that sauce. Doesn't it look delicious? It's bubbling away nicely. And there's been absolutely minimal effort to make this tasty dessert. And just before we finish it off, I have some lovely black grapes here. I'm just going to glaze them up in the sauce. Gets a nice sheen on them, so I'm just picking them off the bunch. And you only need about half a cup's worth. They're just to add a fresh element to the dish. I'm not going to cook them at all. They're just going straight into the sauce. There we go. Remove the cardamom pods, because to eat a cardamom pod, it is very, very strong and overpowering, and it'll probably ruin the dish. There we go. And look at them. Heat off. Get it closer to your plate. Gonna spoon some of that lovely, look at that sauce. Look at the color, that rich maroon color. Just spoon a little bit of that into the center of that mascarpone, and you can see this is a sharing style dish, so once you start scooping into it, all that mascarpone will mix in with that rum sauce, the grapes will go everywhere. It just goes to show with desserts, you don't have to slave hours and hours in the kitchen. Got some basic ingredients, some lovely seasonal fruit, some good quality mascarpone cheese. And really, you could do this, imagine the figs as apples, peaches, pears, it'll work just as good. And lastly, I have some pine nuts, just a little bit of crunch for it, just over the top. There you go. That is a great simple dish which is highlighting the seasonal figs. Make the most of them when they're about, freeze them, can them, or just have them simply served with a bit of mascarpone cheese and rum sauce like I do.